Take a coach who's basically grown up in St. Louis.
Fiercely loyal. The players and the staff are to Zuma West.
And we have right-handed pitching phenom Nick Moten here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Baseball 101, powered by Prime Sports Midwest and YBMcast. I'm Dave Wiggins. I'm your host, and today we have head baseball coach at Lafayette High School, Coach Dupont. Cole, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us today. You guys have a snow day today?
Another snow day, 2 in a row.
That's wonderful. Thankfully, my kids are back at daycare / school today, so I was fortunate enough to to not have a snow day today. I can get some work done. Want to thank you for joining us, man. Always enjoy battling out with you on the field. No matter what uniform I'm in or will be in. But just wanted to get you on and take a coach who's basically grown up in St. Louis, played in the St. Louis baseball scene. You've been fortunate enough to play at the high school at which you now coach, which is pretty cool. That's something you and I shared in common when I was at Webster. So that was kind of my first question for you is, having the opportunity to coach at your alma mater, does it make it different for you knowing that you're leading men at a school at which you once played?
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot more personal for me. And I think I can relate to the players and their families and what they go through a little more than if I was at a school that I didn't go to. And I feel that my experience there has helped me, help the program get better, has helped me relate to them, know what they go through. And I've said to the AD when I interviewed, I said to the parents every year, like when I was a sophomore in high school, I told one of my assistant coaches now that I was going to be the head coach at Lafayette one day. I didn't know when. I didn't think it'd be as soon as I did. But I think that has kind of motivated me, and I never take like being the coach there for granted. I know like some days are tough and, it's not always easy, but I'm always thankful that I get to be in the position. I'm thankful they took a chance on me at a young age. Like I was a lot different hire than Lafayette had usually made. So I owe a lot of people a lot of things. I know like my family takes pride in it. My friends take pride in it. Guys I played with at Lafayette take pride in it. And I think the players and their families, like they might not always agree with me, rightfully so. But I think at the end of the day, they know that I care a lot, and that's what they deserve.
That's awesome. Yeah, obviously the DuPont name carries a lot of weight at Lafayette. You and your brothers going through there. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about that, you and your brothers, your experience as Lancer baseball players, kind of your experience at Lafayette High School and along with, Will and Drew, right? Is it Will and Drew?
Yeah, Andrew, yeah.
Yeah, along with those two and, how they remembered their playing days at Lafayette and kind of how that springboarded all three of you into higher levels of baseball and then obviously you into coaching.
Yeah, so like I said, we were there from 08 till 16. My older brother started. He was by far the best out of us three. So like not only did I play there from 10 or 11 to 14, I've been around watching Lafayette baseball since like 2008, which at this point is now longer than like some of our players have been alive, which is wild. So yeah, he was first, then myself, and then my younger brother. He was there until 16. I think we didn't necessarily have the most success as like a team or like those district championships or Final Four runs, but I think our experience was really special in the sense of, and I tell this to our players, like this is an opportunity to play with guys that you've grown up with your whole life, you've played with your whole life. Like these are your best friends. And you get to play for your school and a community. And after that, like if they're lucky enough to go on to play at the next level, it'll be guys they just met. Now, like, there are special teams at that level. But I think there's something really cool, which I like about high school baseball that draws me to it, of like, for example, our team the other year, those guys have played together since like 6th or 7th grade all the way through. And then you get to see them like in their senior year and how special that can be. So that's something I talked to the players about, just enjoying it. I know, like I said, some days are tough. Baseball's hard, but it can be a really special experience if you let yourself do it. And for me, obviously, it meant so much to me that for a long time I've wanted to come back and coach and hopefully even improve it and make it better for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that when I played, there were certain things that I liked and respected about my coaches and different strategies they implemented and just different ways that they coached the game and coached each individual player. There are also some things that I saw that, I'm not going to say I didn't like, but I thought could be done better. So those were certain points of emphasis that I hit on when I was at Webster trying to help improve the program. Just curious, what are some things that you remember from being coached when you were a kid or even in high school or a college guy that have kind of led you to continue those things on as a coach? And then what are some things that you've kind of gone about differently, if that makes sense?
I'm very lucky in the sense of I started playing for really good coaches at a very young age. Whether just kids I grew up with, and then whether my dad forced that on, I'm not sure. But I mean, I was playing for the Sinoviches when I was in 6th and 7th grade, and they played at Nebraska, and TJ played at Arkansas, and then I was around Coach Perkins when I was in middle school. I was around Coach Reed when I was in middle school, who are all Hall of Famers that did it at a really high level. So I was lucky at a very young age to be around good coaches that inspired me to do like what I do now. I would say that was the start of like me wanting to be a coach, because I saw how impactful that they could be. And then into high school, I thought, obviously the rules were different back then, and the amount that we could practice in the off season and practice during the season in the games that we played. So I know that were some things that I wanted to improve when I got the job. But I thought that my coaches in high school were always very supportive of me and the other players, and I think that was that meant a lot to me, because you go out in like the travel ball circuit and you go out to some pretty competitive high level baseball. Like it can be very intense. And you're playing for guys, like you play for them one weekend and then you might never see them again. So I always thought their care and their like support of us, I enjoyed, and hopefully I can continue that on. I know I can be better at that sometimes. I can be a little intense and obsessive over winning. So my maturity as I get older here, trying to get better at that.
For sure. That was something I had to, coming from the club world to the high school coaching world, it was different. And you had to remember that.
I thought about that today too. Like, you go to college and it is it's cutthroat. Get it done. Don't play. Get it done as a coach, or you don't have a job.
Right.
And then coming in as a young coach, you don't want people to like take advantage of you. You don't want to seem like, you're not intense about it. So I was very strict and hard on them when my first couple of years. But the more I do it, really, and more I'm around the families, like they care a lot more about you being there for their son, you being supportive, you helping them grow. Like they are really young, and it's hard. I sometimes forget that, because like they can be very mature when you're talking to them, and they're so talented and good that like you can forget that some of these kids are 15 years old. Like one of our best players this year, he was up as a sophomore last year. He couldn't drive. Like he had to get picked up after every game. And I'm like, oh, so that's something I would like to get better at. And I'm learning as I go. Like, it's not, every day isn't always about like the win and loss at and it's more about being supportive and being a good leader for them, being a good role model.
Absolutely.
No,
it's great, because in the club world, the majority of the kids you coach, especially on a high school age team, they want to play college baseball. Their goal for playing on that team is to go play college ball. And then at the high school level, you have some kids who just want to enjoy their 4 years of high school baseball. They're good enough to be varsity
Mm-hmm.
baseball players. They don't want to pursue baseball after high school. And it's up to us to remember that, yeah, we want to win, we want to be competitive, but at the same time, we want these kids to enjoy their experience as baseball players in our program. For some of them, it could be their last playing days. And,
Yeah.
seeing some of my seniors over the years who were great impact players for us, knowing that, when we lost the final game of whatever season it was, that was their last baseball game of any meaning being played. That hits home. That's a
Mm-hmm.
different feeling knowing that. And it makes you reflect on, how did I treat that kid for the 4 years, that he was in my program? Did I make sure he was having a good experience? And that kind of leads me to my next question. When you came in, I know a lot of parents and players that have come through Lafayette, or it's still Lafayette. There was a lot of excitement about having an alum, a baseball alum, someone who's going to take baseball very seriously and come in and try to elevate the culture of baseball at Lafayette. How did you, I'm not necessarily saying how did you do it from a personal standpoint, but how did you go about making things better? Your infield grass, for instance, has significantly gotten better. How are you helping to improve facilities and just the overall experience that a Lancer baseball player can have?
I'm a little obsessive over things and how it should be done. I know, like, sometimes I get in trouble for that with some people, but I know how it should be done, and I like it to be done a certain way. And that's gotten me in a little trouble, but I also think that's gotten us to where we are now, where, like, our off-season practice, we are able to go to a nice facility and get work in no matter what the weather. Unless we get a snow day, then we can't. It puts them in a good environment. The equipment, the gear that they have, the field that they play on, the facilities that they have. Simple thing is like brand new baseballs. Like, we're fortunate that we can do that. We have a lot of support. Our administration's good. Our booster club's good. Our parents are great. We have a ton of support, and it's kind of like using that. And I tell them that I want to make playing at Lafayette the best experience possible for the players. Like, I want them to look back on it, be like, wow, overall, that was an awesome time in my life. That was an awesome time in my baseball career, whether that's a part of it or the end of it. And hopefully, like me, they look back on it and they say, I would like to go coach at somewhere. Maybe I want to go coach at Lafayette. Like, that's kind of the impact I would like to make on them, of wanting to come back and help out. But it's just about making it a great experience for them. Like, they work really hard. They put a lot of time and effort into it. Their parents support them a lot, personally, financially. So, like, I think they deserve playing at Lafayette, which is a great program. It's a great school. It deserves to be something that they should be proud of. Like, I play for Lafayette. They go into summer. They go into college. I played at Lafayette. Like, that's what my original goal was. And it takes a lot of work to get there. And there's a lot of times that everyone thought I was crazy. I'm sure they still do. But I've always said it takes what it takes. So, whatever it takes to get it done and make it better for them, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no better feeling than having an alum come back a few years later and say, "Hey, can I help out? Can I help coach freshman ball? Can I get involved in some way somehow?" That's a cool feeling for for a coach to have a player who came through who wants to put time and effort back into the program. Um, how has the caliber of the average and then the top end high school baseball player in the Class 5, Class 6 um, school, how has it changed since you played? Have you
I
seen?
think that is such a clear answer in the velocity in which the pitchers are throwing.
Yeah.
It's, I got my older brother. So my older brother graduated in 12, and he got drafted out of high school, played 5 years of pro ball, didn't make it to the big leagues, so he hated baseball. So then he wanted nothing to do with baseball. And then he kind of saw me start coaching, and he saw us have some success and how much I enjoyed it. And I got him he's on staff now as an assistant coach, which I find really cool. Just all that he went through, and the fact that he's finally back into it, and he loves coaching and he loves being around it, like I knew he would. But we talk about like every day, every team we play. It's like, man, they throw so much harder than they used to. Like every pitcher at, like you said, the class 5, class 6 level, every pitcher they roll out there is just throwing gas. And in 2014, it was like, oh, Marquette has a guy that throws hard, or like, Brady Feigl was my age. He was like, oh, Parkway Central has a guy that throws gas. Like you had like one guy per like 10 schools, and you're like, all right, well, when we play Parkway Central, if we like, he throws hard. Now you play, and every team has like 3 guys that throw gas. And you're like, well, which one are we going to get that throws hard? So that has by far, like, I think, I thought hitting was better then, but I think it's just the pitching has gotten so much better. Like you look around offensive numbers, and I've compared it to when I was playing, my brother you play now. Like the offensive numbers are way down, but it's simply because the pitchers are so much better.
Yeah.
The training that goes into it, the advancement, and like teaching them how to throw hard correctly over the plate, because, and also the thing is, like, you'd have guys that threw gas back then, but they'd be the guy that was throwing it off the backstop.
Right.
Now it's like they're throwing 92 on it at the knees with a breaking ball, and you're like, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think along with the velocity, it's the spin, like the confidence in throwing the off speed early in hitters' counts has really started to tick up at the high school level, where you'll have a guy who's 90-92, but he just threw 5 straight sliders because that's what's going to get that guy out. Like you used to you used to see that in the big leagues, right? And you were wondering when it was going to start to trickle down to the lower levels. And I think we're starting to see it more and more, where we'll see a power arm, or I'll be watching a game where there's a power arm, and he's relying heavily on his off speed. And you just never saw that. It's like, oh, this dude throws 90. Like it's going to be like a 90-10 offering here, Yeah, hitting's definitely harder for sure.
The whole game. Yeah, hitting's a lot harder. It's like, so that I see in that, I think we've really adapted like our practice around that. Like when we go hit, it's like, hey, we need to hit velocity.
Yeah,
like, that's what we need to work on to help you get ready for the game. Like, I think with that, I think the old days of like, hey, we're just going to go out there and we're going to hit dead arm BP. Like, I don't think that necessarily helps them be successful as much as it did in 2012 when we did that a lot. And then you went out there and everyone hit 400 and you played games that were 12-10. It's a lot different now. So that has been by far the difference. Like obviously everyone gets better. The players are better. They're bigger. They're faster. They're stronger. They look different than they used to. But the big one has been the velocity of the pitchers, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially being in the yellow pool in the St. Louis Suburban. You're running up against Lindbergh twice a week, Summit twice a week, Marquette twice a week. Eureka. I mean, you go down Eureka's pitching staff this year. There's probably more dudes that throw 85
arms. Yeah, 3D1 arms. It's like, all right, well, we got to hit some velocity. We got to be ready to compete. So,
right, absolutely.
You played Francis Howell last year. They had like 9 of them.
Right. Yeah, we played Francis Howell, and Coach Perkins pulled up a sophomore to pitch against us who'd never thrown a varsity inning. 6'8" lefty Derek Chubb touching 88. It's like,
that must be nice.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, they just grow on trees out there.
Yeah, they sure do. You had early success, which is cool for a young high school coach. In 23, you won your district, correct?
Correct. Yep. Beat Gianni in 23.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about that experience as a young coach. First year, right?
Yeah, it was year 1. Yep.
Year 1, winning the district. How was that?
It was way harder than I ever thought it would be. That's for sure. Especially that district that year. You had Eureka was the 1 seed, and they went, I think, 32-3, and we played them in the semifinal. We played Vianney in the championship. I think they were 31-6, and that's not to mention that we played like our biggest rival in Marquette in the first round, who was also 22-10 or whatever it was. So that was challenging, but that was. Sorry, the bells are still going off. There was just a lot to learn. Like the team hadn't had a ton of success in previous years. Like a big thing that I worked on them, like a Marquette thing. The previous 3 seasons, Marquette had knocked Lafayette out of the playoffs by a combined score of like 38-5.
Wow.
So there was just like a lot of scars that built up by just like, coming up short, not winning a district championship, and in some years at that point, and not going further than that. So I came in and basically just wanted to do everything differently. Like I wanted to establish a style that no matter how we played that day, we could rely on that style and identity. And there was a lot of growing pains because years before we kind of just rolled it out and said, hey, we're talented at Lafayette. Let's go get it done. And I knew we would have the talent, but I wanted to have something that we could rely on. If we faced a big time arm that day, if we faced a team that was 30-0, if we faced a team that had 8 Division I players, it's like, what can we do that we can control that gives us a chance to win every game we play? And that obviously takes time to build. You also lose games, and then you worry about how do the players still believe? Are they bought into it? And we went 17-13, I think we were. We went 17-13 in the regular season. We were the 5 seed. Nobody thought we were going to do, much of anything besides, I think, us. I know that if I were to look at a couple of that year. Thank you. You're about the only one. I knew that we went to Jackson. And another thing that I did a lot differently was the schedule. Like we played Francis Howell 3 or 4 times that year. We played Jackson twice. We went to Arkansas and played the defending Arkansas State champions. Like we played elite teams. And at the start, I think we got run ruled by the Arkansas team. We got run ruled by Francis Howell the first time we played them. Like we took our lumps, and that's another thing. It's like I had to keep them being like, hey, it's part of the plan. It's part of the process. Like I need you to see what big time Class 6 high school baseball looks like. It's hard, but I need you to see what it looks like so that we can go do it. And we went to Jackson, I think it was like May 1st, and we faced JP Sauer, who's at Tulane now, and we won like 2-1. We won on like a 1st and 3rd early lead. We scored a run, and then I think we had a squeeze bunt that scored a run. And that was the moment. It was like, you could see it. I got goosebumps thinking about it now. Like their face after that game, they were like, oh my God, like this works. We can do it. We have the team that can do it. Because that team, we ended up playing them again in the quarterfinal, and they went on to the Final Four. And then we played Eureka in our conference game, and we got beat the first day, but then bounced back at home and beat them. And that was like their second loss of the season. So there started to be a lot of belief, like once we got into May, which you hear all about in high school baseball. Like that's when you want to be playing well. And we really just started clicking at the right time. Our pitchers, that team was really tough. It was really tough. Like they had belief, like when we showed up, no matter who we played, what their ranking was, what our ranking wasn't, what their record was, what ours wasn't. When we showed up to play, they believed that they were going to win the game. And that was a really cool group. And like all that happened in such a short period of time. So I was lucky there. That team I'm very proud of still.
That's great. Let's fast forward to 2024. Obviously, year 2 of your coaching career, you make it to the Ozarks. and just kind of go through that, kind of where you started, how you guys hit a turning point, and then even some key contributors. You can go ahead and name whoever you'd like to, but that's being a part of that. It was cool that you and I got to experience it together. Class 5,
Mm-hmm.
class 6. There's no experience like it there, and people tell you that, but until you live it,
Yeah.
it's so cool. So go ahead on that.
So that year we had 7 seniors that were all coming back and that were like big time players as juniors. So coming back, we felt very good about how good we were going to be. Now that team, and I was with a couple of them over winter break. I see all those guys. I talked to Tyson today. That team knew they were good, and it was very frustrating because some days our practice wasn't pretty, and they were like, "Just get us to the game." And then we, if we played someone on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning, and they weren't locked in, like we would play poorly. And it would be so frustrating. But they were always like, just get us to the game, just get us to the playoffs. Like we'll figure it out. And as a coach, that like drives you nuts. Like that's not how this works. Like you can't just turn it on. Well, they did. They sure did because we got to. Yeah, I don't even think there was necessarily a turning point in like see like the 23. There was a direct turning point, that Jackson game. In 24, it was very much like when we played, big time teams and we're locked in, it was like we're good. Well, we played Liberty North the second game of the season and we lost 5-4 in like the 8th inning. And Stiegel said to me, he's like, that was a Final Four game right there, day one. And he'd obviously had the experience to do it. I'd never been there. So I was like, well, sure, I hope he's right.
Yeah.
But it was just a team that they had so much talent. They had so much confidence and belief. Like we showed up in those playoff games and they were like, there's no one that can beat us today. Like Tyson Oswalt throws a no-hitter in the state semifinal against the 2-time defending state champs. Like it was like fairy tale stuff. They just
I remember we played you guys in the non-conference game, and our righty Drew Patrick was brilliant that day, and shut you guys down. I remember you coming up to me and telling me a month or so later, he's like, after that game, everything kind of changed, and that's kind of what I was alluding to. I do remember kind of just I've been in that spot where you play a team that you're on paper just better than. Like you're to a man, you're probably better than them, and they find a way to beat you. And that can go one of two ways. One way it can beat your guys down, it can turn the emotion negative, or it can be a huge motivator to, hey, maybe practice needs to be better from here on out. Maybe the process change a little bit.
Yeah, that was the post game to that, and the next couple practices probably weren't the most fun for them. I do remember after that game though, we practiced, and I said, because up until that point, high school baseball players, they're guys are committed to play Division I, Division II baseball. They obviously like want accolades and they want stats and things like that. Which is, if used correctly, can be productive. It felt like they had success the year before. They believed they were going to have success at the end of the year, and like the first month was like, oh, I'm trying to hit this many home runs or have this average and this and that. And after that game, I said to them, I asked everyone on the team, I was like, what do you want out of this season? And every one of them, moment to be like, oh, I want the team to like be well. They had a team answer. I want the team to come together. I want to win. I want to win districts. I want to go to the Final Four. Like we want to go further than we did last year. I said, okay, well, not one of you, when we walked around here, said, I want to hit 10 home runs, or I want to hit 310, or I want to have 40 RBIs, or this many strikeouts. So I said, we have a couple weeks left. Like, you're saying it, let's start playing like it. Like, let's go do it. And then I think the next game we played, we beat Francis Howell. I think if I remember that correctly, and they were number 1 in the state again. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this is why, like, this is how good this team can be, and it's frustrating when you guys allow yourself to not like live up to the own standard that you can be. And I felt like after that they did. There was just more of a emphasis on winning the game, no matter what, no matter how, whoever it takes. Like, go out and win the game. If it's by bunting 10 times in a row against Timberland, it's doing that. If it's by, a guy throwing a no-hitter and us making 5 diving plays, a no-hitter on 2 strikeouts. If it takes everyone making plays, that's what it takes. And winning 1-0. I think we scored in the first inning that game. I think we had a walk, a bunt, a base hit, 1-0 in the first inning, and then Tyson throws a no-hitter. So it just kind of was like whatever it took. We scored. As long as we scored one more run than the other team.
Yeah, you obviously you place an emphasis on base running and bunting and being able to execute small ball. Obviously those things. There's certain coaches who employ them more than others. Sometimes it's hard to get buy-in from players, especially your higher caliber, your more elite type player who may never have to lay a bunt down in the summer. Who may have Division I or big time offers. How do you get the boys to buy into an offensive philosophy that's more we over me? And were there some growing pains there?
I feel like I did a decent job of coaching that and employing that my first 2 years. And then I think, honestly, as I reflect on last year, we weren't as good. And after 23, 24, you have that type of success. You think you walk in on day one of the next season and you'll be like, oh, well, they'll believe in it and they'll want to do it. And we'll do it from day one and we'll do it all year. No, wrong. Wrong. So 23 and 24, we really, we didn't do a ton of it until later on in the season. And I think allowing them to have the freedom early on, like they get their swings off, they can, get comfortable, build confidence. So that way they have that freedom. And then as it gets later on in the year, it's like if we need to do it, we have it in there. Like we would work it a lot and then we'd get to the game and, some guys would do it more than other that felt more comfortable with it or were better at it. But, a lot of them were given the swing. And I feel like when they were given that opportunity and then it came down to like, all right, we got to win today. They were like, all right, like I'll do what it takes to win today. Now, like the buy-in helps when they see it works.
Right.
Like when you do it 9 times in a row and the other team doesn't get an out, like they're like, oh, this is fun. You got to make it fun. You got to make it sexy per se, because it's not. Like it's hard. You're putting your face and your hand out there to hit the ball 10 feet, hopefully. But it helps the team. It helps create pressure on the defense. It's a lot harder to defend that than some other things you can do offensively. And then how much the teammates and the coaches would get excited about like that type of play. I feel like that really took on like its own identity in 23 and 24. But that goes, back to me of like, I feel like I did a better job with that then than I did last year. And that's something that I would like to improve, upon now. You think that sometimes when things work, they'll just continue to work, or you think it's unstoppable. Well, you got to execute it still. So I think just like highlighting how important it is, highlighting how it helps the team, making it fun. And then when they see it works and then it wins games, any good player and good team will believe in it.
Yeah, for sure. One final question as we wrap up. Obviously there's being a head coach of a high school program, there's more administration work. There's more behind the scenes work than you would expect before you get the gig. and you really need a good staff. You need good freshman JV coaches. You need good assistant varsity coaches. Just kind of talk to me about your staff and how they've helped you throughout the years and just how integral they've been to your success at Lafayette.
Yeah, huge. We got a big staff. Anyone who plays us is like, how many coaches you guys got? And I think it's important not only to have, coaches per player that can be hands-on and communicate with them, but also like coaches help coaches. We can help each other. We can coach each other. Even my assistant coach Kreinkamp, who is the guy that he was my teacher and coach in high school. He's the one that I told I wanted to be the coach. And it's like, he's the basketball coach at Lafayette. And, that's obviously like his first love and like his first focus. But like his years of experience, he's been at Lafayette 18 years. He's seen so many different classes. He's seen so many different teams at Lafayette. And he's also been coaching a lot longer than me. So that when I get in a tailspin or go off the rails, he's there to put me back in the right direction. Scott Holtman, he's been at Lafayette since I was in high school too. So like guys and Seth Atkins, guys that have been around at Lafayette that kind of know what it was like before. They know what I want to do differently. Their support is big because, like I said, when I came in, they thought I was crazy. I was like, what is it, off-season practice? Off-season practice, we're practicing 6 days a week. We're going hours on end. We're going in the dark. We're going in the morning. We're playing 36 games. Like, we're going out of town. We're bunting. We're stealing. We're doing all these different things. I'm a little more intense than some. It takes, really good support from the coaches that believe in you and can relay your message as well. Because if it's just me spouting my nonsense to, hundreds of people, that's a hard thing to get across. When we have a united front in the coaching staff, like 10 people that all believe in it, that support it, makes a big difference. So I owe those guys a lot, like their experience at Lafayette before I was there, their support since I've been there. And then you look at Zach Ruckman. We played together in high school. His knowledge, he played at Maryville. His knowledge of infield and base running and bunting and hitting is huge. Like, I didn't play the infield, so he knows the infield better than me. So he can be out there hands-on with our infielders every day. I wasn't a pitcher. Ryan O'Connell is the best pitching coach in the state, in my opinion. He pitched at Lafayette, played at a high level, and can really build belief in pitchers with what they can do and get people out. I wasn't a pitcher. So what am I going to go? You can ask, Landon, you can ask a lot of all the pitchers, I throw strikes. Get out there, throw strikes. Well, that's easier said than done. It's easy for me to say that from the bench. How are you going to throw strikes? How are you going to get people out? That's, what he does a great job with our pitchers. And it allows me to I like to oversee the whole thing and make sure that it's my vision for that day or that game is playing out. And the fact that I don't have to be in the cage with every hitter. I don't have to be in the bullpen. I don't have to be on every rep. And it allows me to make sure everything is going efficiently like it should. Is a big testament to those guys. And it's great for the players to have that many coaches that are knowledgeable and help the players out. And then our younger team staff, the JV and the fresh team, it's changed kind of more than our varsity staff has throughout the years, as I think anywhere does. Just turnover and guys doing different jobs. Like Ruckman was the JV coach for a couple years. Now he's on varsity. But making sure, me and the JV coach, the freshman coach, are on the same page. We're delivering the same message. You're in the program. You're not on the freshman team or the JV team or the you should be able, the terminology we use, the expectations we have for them. What do we want to be good at? We have to start working on that at a young age so that when they do get up to the big leagues, they're ready to go. They know what is expected and how we do things. and those coaches holding them accountable to that and is important because, as you know, you can't be at the freshman practice every day at the freshman game.
Right.
And I think my favorite thing is we have a lot of people that went to Lafayette or have been at Lafayette for a long time. So it goes back to that. There's an extra sense of pride for everyone involved on the coaching staff of making sure that it is as elite as it should be.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. It's kind of the same way we were at Webster. We had a lot of alums come back and put their put time and effort in, and it's a little bit different, right? There's more heart put into it because a Lancer through and through, and you got guys that come in that consider themselves statesmen through and through. So yeah, it's all good. Cole, I want to thank you for coming on, and just talking to us about your experience so far as a high school head coach. Wish you many great years ahead. You've got a talented group of kids that enjoy being coached by you, that love your staff, and really do enjoy being Lancer baseball players. And I think you've done a fantastic job of building that culture and getting people excited in your community. So congratulations to you on that.
Well, I appreciate it. And I think we got a really good team this year, so we're very excited and ready to get going.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch you guys. Once again, man, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on. Everybody, I'm Dave Wiggins with Baseball 101 here from YBMcast, Brian French and all his greatness. We will see you all next week. Thanks.